Voronezh UFO incident, the most mysterious alien encounter in history. The collapse of the Soviet Union is only 2 years away. The world is living the final years of the Cold War. Nuclear tensions between America and Russia are at their peak. However, in the fall of 1989, an event that will overshadow all of this takes place. Voronezh, a quiet, calm Soviet city. But on September 27, 1989, this city would draw the eyes of the entire world because that day, one of the most interesting UFO events in human history took place. A giant object descended from the sky, witnesses saw strange creatures, and even a child suddenly disappeared and came back. Did this event really happen? Or is there a greater truth that we are not being told? September 27, 1989. Around 1830, children are playing in the Central Park of Voronezh. Families are going for an evening walk. Everything is normal. But at that moment, the sky starts to change. First, people notice a strange glow in the sky. Light beams of purple, slightly reddish light. According to witnesses, at some point this light grows and a huge object appears from it. A metallic sphere. It was spinning and floating down. It was emitting reddish-purple light. A huge metal sphere. It lands silently, floating on the ground. Witnesses say that the objects floating in the air defies the laws of physics. There is no engine sound, no wind blowing. It's like a hologram suspended in the air. And at that very moment, the moment that gave all the witnesses goosebumps happened. On the bottom of the object, a round hatch opened, and 2 huge beings came out of it. Witnesses said they were not human. They were about 3 meters tall, had long, thin bodies, and their heads were quite large. But the most interesting thing was their eyes. It was as if there were bright red lights moving inside them. A witness's statement: "When you look at them, they had no pupils. The red light was moving." However, these beings were not alone. They were carrying an unknown metallic device with them. It looked like a robot. It had a cylindrical body covered with small sensors. Now, we come to the main event that makes this one of the strangest UFO cases in history. According to witnesses, a child playing in the park that day was noticed by one of these beings. The alien turned to the child, raised his hand, and then the child disappeared. Eyewitnesses say that the child suddenly disappeared, as if he had disappeared due to a computer simulation error. People were in shock. The child was nowhere to be found. But only 10 minutes later, he suddenly returned. One witness's statement: "He disappeared in the blink of an eye. Then he appeared as if he had been brought back from somewhere." But he was no longer the same. He was not talking. His eyes were dull. It was as if he had come from a different reality. Are aliens using humans as experiments? If extraterrestrial beings really came here, what were their purposes? What kind of procedure were they performing on this child? Did they upload data to his brain? Was it a genetic experiment? Military project? According to some researchers, this incident was actually a secret Soviet psychological warfare experiment. Was it an event designed to test how people could be manipulated with mind control? What if you were in a simulation? If the child suddenly disappeared and came back, was it perhaps a mistake in a simulation? Is what we call reality actually software? So, are there other people who can break out of the code? All these witnesses, government reports, media attention. The Voronezh UFO incident can never be a simple optical illusion. So, what do you think really happened in Voronezh? Was this an alien encounter or a secret experiment? We are waiting for your opinions in the comments.